See it in the corner over
What?
there.
This dude's early.
I know, right?
He's on time.
Listen, you better slow your roll.
2 minutes early.
We are early. We're gonna
The
give
Arby's
people.
on time.
We're gonna give people a cup. Listen, you better slow
Man,
down.
Harvey ain't never early with the live button.
I'm never early with the live button. I'm always like on the dot or a minute late. But we're gonna start a little early and give everybody a couple minutes to get in so we can get started right at 9 o'clock here or 9:01. You know, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But was kind of all over the place about whether or not we were going live tonight. So, but wanted to make sure that we hopped in here and shared some stuff with the peoples.
Oh,
Peoples.
With the peoples.
Love the peoples. It's all about the people.
Those of you that are coming in, we appreciate it. We appreciate your time. If you can like, share it, invite somebody in. Little special episode tonight. Got some updates and some what's coming next, and kind of a 3-part informational series, I guess we could say. You'll get part 1 and 2 tonight, and then throughout the next few days, part 3 will hit. So you'll definitely want to buckle up and make sure you're riding this thing out to the end. Because it's definitely going to be fun over the next few days. But take just a minute, hop in, share it, invite somebody in. We definitely appreciate it.
Yeah. And for you guys that don't know, I didn't get the dress code memo today. So
Yeah, Ezra kind of switched it up on me. So but I had a few minutes to change it up. So
dress to impress.
bro, I smile and I impress. Listen, I make fat look good. All right, I got skinny fat 49 pounds because of me.
Listen, my man said, "Ain't nobody on the 600-pound show single."
That's right. So I'm eating all the cupcakes.
Keep eating the cupcakes.
All the cupcakes.
Yo.
All right, you guys, we appreciate you watching. Thank you very much. Go ahead and take a minute, share it, invite somebody in real quick. We're going to get started here in about 60 seconds.
Man, we're going to have 3-part series that's going to be crazy.
We're probably going to handle, part 1 and 2. Part 1 and 2 tonight, and then later throughout the week, we'll hit part 3 up probably.
Man, you guys got to stay around for all 3 parts of this series because this won't be crazy.
Crazy train.
All right, y'all. We appreciate you hopping in. Sorry about the last minute. As far as no notification. I had somebody ask earlier, like, when do y'all go live? And for those of you that aren't aware, we steadily go live on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Wednesday is the podcast Reflections with Dr. Gary Harvey, and then every Thursday night at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, we do House Call, and that is our panel discussion, and we talk about all types of different, like literally all types of different things. So those topics vary from week to week. And even sometimes within the show, we might start with one topic and end up with something else. We try not to do anything, but no, Jan, you haven't missed anything. We just started. We're not going to be too long tonight. I was just talking about, you had sent me the message and asked, like, when do you go live? And when we do little special episodes, special editions like this, try to give you guys as much notice as possible. Sometimes we can't quite throw it out there as early as I would like to, or with as much notice as I would like to. So I apologize for that. But we got Ezra and Danny on here. We're going to talk about a few things. Like I said, I posted earlier, got a big announcement coming, something that's going to be a game changer for me. We're going to talk about pieces and parts of that tonight, and you'll get the rest of it. You'll get the final piece of it later in the week. But we're gonna start with the beginnings of it tonight. But earlier today, Mr. Ezra Johnson had his interview for potential appointment for alderman for Ward 4 here in Olean. And so we wanted to give him an opportunity to kind of share a little bit about that process. Maybe you guys ask a couple questions, or, Danny and I ask a couple questions, about that process and kind of how that went. When Ezra first mentioned that he was going to go ahead and pursue that seat. He mentioned trying to put together, essentially like a documentary, a step-by-step process for the individuals that want to get into politics, because it's not easy. And a lot of people have a desire, but they have no clue where to start. And if nobody's willing to help them, it's kind of hard to figure it out. So with that being said, Ezra, go ahead, man. Like,
Well,
how was it?
Dr. Harvey, I do got to ask, like, can I use some of this footage for the documentary?
Of course.
Okay, absolutely. I like that. So it was.
I mean, I'll charge you by the minute. You like the minute's worth of footage. Like, we'll discuss.
How much a minute?
Hey, we'll discuss that after you get your seat, Alderman. No, I'm kidding.
No, I went well.
No, of course you can. Of course you can.
It went well. It was definitely a different for me. It was a 5-part question interview, just basic questions about like the ward and why I think I'm qualified. A couple of basic questions that the mayor asked. It was definitely a bipartisan interview where it wasn't like leaning one side towards the other. So that was really cool. And I actually thought it went really well. We got to joke around a little bit. I have this picture of me and Mayor Alio from when I was a little kid, and I got to bring it in and I showed him and shared it with him. So it was kind of a cool moment we had.
Yeah, I think living in a small town like this, putting personal touches on it like that, man, is always a good thing, because it reminds everybody we live in a small town. So, but walking out of that interview, as how you feel, man? How you feel about it? Think you did your best? You think, what I mean? How you feeling, man?
I think I did really well. It wasn't like a questions that could like trip you up or anything. It was just basic questions about like historical places in the ward and what I feel like, why I feel like I'm the best candidate. It wasn't like anything so hard where like no one could come up with the answers. You know what I mean? It was pretty basic. It was a basic interview. It was good.
Good, but good vibe though. Good vibe.
Yeah, definitely. It was a good vibe. It wasn't anything bad, for sure. Good. I feel confident about it. I feel good.
Good.
So why do you think you're the best person to represent the ward?
I definitely think consistency is big in it. I'm definitely engaged with what happens in the local politics, especially. I've already started handing out flyers and campaigning on that kind of and that aspect of it. One thing that I find it interesting too is that I'm not like a regular politician. I mean, we talked about that earlier, Dr. Harvey. I'm not someone that's just about myself. I'm more about the people. I want the people's voices to be heard. When I make decisions, I want to know what my constituents think. I want engagement from them so I can represent them well.
I mean, we always talk about the people, and you always, you said you were running for the people, and I appreciate that, because that doesn't, tie you to one party or the other. But, if Ezra Johnson gets awarded this seat for a little while, what can the people expect out of Ezra Johnson sitting up there at that table?
They could definitely, they can expect me to fight for their issues and then fight for what they need. One major crisis that the Olean's facing right now is we lost quite a few jobs in the Olean, and just fixing to put jobs in the region, it helps, but we want jobs, and we want to bring jobs to Olean and focus on things like that. So definitely fighting for people's issues, developing a middle class while looking out for everybody.
Yeah, me and you, as we had ability to talk about this before. I ran some statistics. Everybody knows I like facts, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people might not know, but on average, Olean loses every year the population of what it graduates from Olean High, according to the numbers. So, and it's actually more than that, like I explained to you a little bit, because it's actually more than that, because a lot of people that go away to college, like my daughter and everybody else, they still use their home address. So they're technically Olean residents, even though they don't live here. So Olean, you run the numbers, the city of Olean loses about what they graduate plus some every year. So, that's some tough hits for a small city like us. But
I think that's where you guys are stepping up to, being on that diversity and inclusion committee. One thing that like I could see different on that committee is getting some younger people on there maybe, and try and bridge the gap between the older generation and the younger generation to see why these children are leaving every year and not coming back. What can we do better to improve? Like what is it that's the actual problem why people aren't staying in the city of Olean?
Well, I think one thing with Olean to that point is the direction that we are moving and have been moving.
Mhm.
And while it's important to solicit the lessons and the legacy of the past,
Mhm.
it's critical not to stay there.
Mhm.
If you stay there, then you're essentially pushing out your younger generation.
Mhm.
You're not giving them a reason to stay. And Olean, unfortunately, we have kind of been in this cycle where we've hung on so hard, so much to the past of what Olean was and how magnificent and fantastic and great Olean was, that we've kind of lost sight of what we can be. We've kind of lost sight of the potential. And so that's one thing that I definitely think that Olean needs to, we have to, as a city, begin to invest in Olean and invest in that infrastructure and invest in that, making it desirable to bring those jobs into Olean. But in order for us to expect somebody from the outside to invest into Olean, we have to invest. It's got to be worth it for us to invest
Yeah,
into.
absolutely.
And so moving in that direction is definitely critical.
it,
And being able to, because if we're not careful, if you shun the present, then you prevent yourself from reaching the future, because your present's what's going to drive you into the future. And we have to begin to incorporate and lean on that current generation in order to drive us into the future as a city. It's
it, and I think you're absolutely right, Dr. Harvey. Like we have a tendency in Olean to live so much in the past, so much into what was and when it was great, that people forget, that times are changing and young people are growing and they're expanding, and Olean hasn't really stepped up to the plate and expanded with the rest of the world. We talk a lot about the county. We talk a lot about what the county's doing and all that stuff. But
right.
what we don't do is we don't talk about how Olean's taking care of Olean, right?
Mhm.
It doesn't do a lot of good if you're bringing 200-300 jobs to the city of Salamanca. No disrespect to the city of Salamanca, but that doesn't really take care of Olean, does it?
Right.
Uh,
It doesn't really
you
help
know,
Olean. I mean,
so,
granted, you may have an address in Olean and be able to get a job out there, but
right.
essentially it still doesn't, it very minimally affects the city itself, and it doesn't draw other employers into Olean.
What you just said usually happens in reverse, right? A lot of people work in Olean but don't live in Olean,
Mhm.
right? So if you don't live in Olean, what's the chance of you really spending your money and paying taxes in Olean? It ain't, so we got the exact reverse going on, right? We got a lot of people that work in Olean and don't live in Olean. And so there's a lot of that going on, but we gotta grow. We gotta grow. We gotta get with the times. We gotta invest in our young people. We gotta
Well,
bring
most
new
most places,
technology jobs.
most places that I've lived, larger cities, and even when I was stationed at Fort Stewart, there were, Hinesville, Georgia. We used to joke around when I was in the Army. We used to call it like, the armpit of America, because it was like middle of nowhere, and it had like two red lights in it when I was there. And so we used to joke about that, but there were still some places and things to do. There were still events happening on the weekend, and there were still, things that you can get involved in. And most cities grow. Most cities have, when you talk about, hey, let's go downtown, you're going downtown because there's things to do, not because there's empty storefronts because rent's too high, or not because there's nowhere to go because there's no employers to hire anybody and there's no money to spend. So there's a lot of ways that you can affect that infrastructure, and having people like Ezra coming in with fresh ideas and a fresh perspective and a fresh ear, because you can become essentially tone deaf hearing the same things over and over and over and over again, and not really hearing the problem. You begin to hear the noise instead of the problem. You can get so accustomed to hearing sirens that when they're actually coming up behind you, you don't pull over because you're so used to hearing the siren. And sometimes, just that fresh ear to a situation, a circumstance, to a city can be monumental in change, because it can be that different perspective where two people are trying to say something and they're really saying the same thing, but they're not hearing each other because they're so used to hearing an argument instead of an opportunity or a suggestion or an opportunity, or a solution. Now someone like Ezra comes in with that fresh perspective, and his ear can hear the solution and the opportunity in the conversation. And so those are the things that we need, bringing them to the table.
And I think too, when it comes to some of the young people and some of the new people and some of the fresh people that need to come in, what you need, what people need to see and they need to look at is, one thing that catches my eye is, if I look around the table of a bunch of decision makers, and I do this a lot with companies, right, that I work with, if all the decision makers sitting at the table all look and feel and talk the same, right, then I only need to listen to one of them to know what the end result's going to be, right? But if everybody sitting around that table has different perspectives and different ideas and different thought processes, and you hear them talking and you hear them working things out, then you know that that's a company that's going to grow and going to thrive for the long haul, because there's a lot of different perspectives sitting in the room, right? And I think sometimes what we see in the city of Olean is a whole bunch of people that look the same, act the same, talk the same, and have the same ideas. And guess what you end up with? You end up with the same result. And you might go about getting there in a different way, but you end up with the same result. So, like you were saying, Dr. Harvey, somebody coming in with fresh ideas and fresh perspectives like Ezra can lead that change.
Mm-hmm.
They can. It just takes a couple people to make big change.
One thing that I think sometimes people miss, especially where politics are concerned, is you want, in my opinion, you want a variety, and you want a mass diversity at the table, because obviously the populace is a mass diversity, and so you've got to have those different perspectives. But what the other thing that you have to realize, the other side to that coin, is with that level of diversity, the process is going to take a little longer, because I have to get people to understand these various perspectives. Now I have to get outside of my own understanding, my own perspective, my own background, and I have to put myself in another's shoes. And that's where, the encouragement of getting a younger generation, or, sometimes it's not even, I'm gonna be honest, sometimes it's not even a younger generation. Sometimes it's just someone that has more of an open mind, that can take a step back and say, you know what, hey, kind of like Bob Ross is like, oh, we don't have any mistakes, we just have happy accidents, or whatever it was that he said, and because sometimes it's not, it's not really a mistake, or, oh my goodness, I can't believe they want to make that policy. Well, if you took a step back and you looked at the why behind the policy, or the long term behind the policy, yeah, the short term might not look great, but if you looked at the long term, it makes sense. Or vice versa. Maybe it looks great up front, but that long term really isn't that good. So let's really take a minute. Let's talk about how this is going to affect us. And at the end of the day in politics, I know I was talking to Ezra about this earlier, something he's going to have to kind of experience, and really anybody that decides to step into politics, at some point, for some reason, everybody's going to dislike you. You're not going to be able to make everybody happy all the time. But I think if you're making the approach in good conscience, you're doing what's best for the people, and you're doing what's best for the city of Olean, then you're doing it with the right intentions and the right heart.
I remember hearing something President Obama said in his first term, and it always stuck with me. And it sticks with me through my business dealings, and it also sticks with me, when we talk about things like Ezra, and we talk about Ezra like he ain't even on the call, but that's all right. He's used to that. So
I had a long day.
What he said.
It's been a long day, Ezra.
I had a long day.
But what Obama said in his first term is, he said, and he tried to address that topic about people not liking him and people not caring for him all the time, is he said, not everybody has to like me, but if I do what's best for the people, at the end of the day, everybody will respect me. And I think that's the key right there, is everybody don't have to like you, but if you're doing what's right for the people, eventually they'll see that, and everybody will respect what you're trying to do.
Absolutely.
which doesn't mean you're right all the time. It doesn't mean you're wrong all the time. It just means that people understand and people know that every decision you make, you're putting them first.
Right.
And you don't always have to be right. You just have to have the best intentions, right? Because nobody ever gets everything right 100% of the time the first time. So I mean, now that we just talked about you all the time, Ezra, what you got to say? We just talked all
I was
about
actually want to see what everybody that's watching has to say. I want to see if there's something out there that.
Well, Janet said, "Yo," she's like, "Y'all making me want to move there."
Haha.
And that,
Move to
honestly,
North
that's kind of what a lot of us are going for. I mean, Ezra running, Danny and I sit on the equity and inclusion committee, for the city, and that's one of the things that we talk about is really wanting to make our city more desirable. Because we do want people to come here. We have a lot of positives. There's things that we need to address and things that we need to fix and things that we need to deal with as a city, but we have a lot of positives and we want to be able to highlight those positives and begin to grow off of those positives. A lot of times we tend to focus on the negative of things, like, oh, what do we need to change? And like, if I hold up a blank sheet of paper that's got a dot on it and ask you what you see, your response is not going to be that you see all the white clean sheet of paper. Your response is going to be the dot on the paper. Why? Because we're trained to find the flaw. We're trained to find the flaw in the things that we look at, or the things that we deem a flaw, the things that we see as a flaw. And instead of seeing I have like 95% of a sheet of paper that I can still use for something productive. And sometimes we have to find the things that we can be productive with and build off of those. One thing that I will say that I think is outstanding is, whether you have experience in politics or not. And a lot of times this comes up in elections. It's like, oh, well, you've never done it before. You've never held office. I've got all this experience. Vote for me. Don't vote for them because I know what I'm doing. Well, that's funny, because if I got hired at McDonald's, I learned how to do the job on the job. I don't know McDonald's policies before I get hired. I learn them after I get the position. And so that's something that if you approach it, regardless of those of you that are considering politics and are hesitant because you're not sure how to approach it, if you approach it like that and you're open to learning and you're open to growing and you're open to developing yourself, man, by all means jump to it, put your hand to the plow and start moving.
To go off of what you said, Dr. Harvey,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Olean's one of those places to build your resume and something like that. It's one of those starter things to get you to the next level, and so that you can put it in on your resume that you did these things and you're ready to go to the next level, maybe to see you in the state or maybe in the federal level, who knows. But Olean is like the starting ground for me. And to see where it takes me. I think that it's a perfect opportunity for people that I think that that's a selling point for people.
Mm-hmm.
People wanting to get into politics or something, knowing that you can move here and potentially go do your job and get things done and get a little start off.
See, and I look at Olean from a completely different lens, right? I lived in Olean and grew up in Olean. Olean had a population 25,000 and the place was jumping, right? So I grew up in a completely different time in the city than my son and my daughters and my son, right? So when I tell them about the Olean that I grew up in, that's not the same Olean that they've experienced, right? So I think when you talk about Olean, you have to talk. It's a perspective of when did you grow up here and how did you grow up? Because my thought of Olean is a vibrant, hopping place, right? My daughters and my son's view of Olean isn't the same as mine. It's not a negative view, but it's just not the same, right? So I think, but Olean can be that place again. Olean can be that place. You just need people to take it there. You need fresh. And when you were talking about running for politics, and people saying, well, yeah, I've ran and I've been in this position before, so I know the way, right? This may sound a little hypocritical, but I believe in it. Like I said, I believe in facts, right? You may have been in that position, but did you succeed in that position? And at the end of the day, if we're in the same situation that you were in when you took office, then what did you really change? What did you really change? What did you really do besides the same thing everybody else was doing, right? So that's a double-edged sword for anybody who wants to get into politics and run against somebody who's already in the seat. They can tell you that they're great because they were in that seat, but their record better be great if that's what they're saying, right? It's a double. It's a win-win for both people. Is
And
the way I
you know,
look at it.
success is viewed, you know, that's also the funny thing about politics is success is viewed differently by different people. You
Mhm.
know, what you and I might view as successful or unsuccessful could be the reverse for somebody else. It's interesting. I remember when I was growing up as a kid, I think it was, and forgive me because it's been so long, but I believe it was Marcus Park over there by by Washington West, over there by 15th Street.
Yep, that's
Um,
Marcus, baby, jumping
yeah,
softball.
when I was a kid, from Wednesday through Sunday or Thursday through Sunday, that place was on and popping. And I remember, you know, like you go over there with a trash bag and just
Yep.
walk around and pick you up some cans. And as a 9, 10-year-old, you know, before 8 o'clock at night, you walking away with like $300 in cans in them bags, you know, or
So
whatever. But there was things that were happening. People were out and, you know, different things like that. Now it's like a Friday night and it's like, oh, okay. And not just because of COVID, just it's kind of stalled out, you know, and we do have an opportunity to grow. But obviously, the first priority, like Ezra was talking about, you know, hey, what can we do for the people? Not just make it pretty, you know, but what can we do that's tangible for the people, you know?
it,
And I appreciate that mindset, Ezra, that it's not just about the surface, it's deeper for you. And you know, that's definitely appreciated, because we can put all the flowers we want outside, make it pretty and take pictures, but that doesn't mean it's going to be something sustainable for, you know, carrying growth into the future, you know.
you can put all the flowers you want outside. You can water them. You can take all the pictures and everything like that. But guess what? If you move, if people want to move here and there ain't no jobs here, guess what? What your flowers and roses do? Like, people got to work. They got to feed their family, right? But
Mhm.
before we get into part two of what we're going to announce tonight, I got to remind our older people out there who might be, you know, just old as me or a little bit older. Remember downtown and how it was on the weekend, and the amount of people that were out there and why they were out there. You had the jubilation popping down there, Big Ron's, Buzzies, JoJo's, all them people. The mall was popping. Everything was popping downtown on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. And you know, remember walking in the mall after Thanksgiving, and you were shoulder to shoulder with people in the mall, and every storefront was packed. And I throw you back to Chess King for anybody who's my age, and you know what I'm talking about. But you know what I mean. So like, Olean can be that place again, and just need fresh voices and fresh faces to sit at the table along with some of the elders to bring all that back together.
Ty got jokes. Ty got some jokes, but that's okay. That's all right, Joe.
I knew Ty was gonna say something.
Talk about running.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
but no, I mean, if you guys have any you know, any questions for Ezra as we're still on here, by all means, type them in the comments. We'll definitely get to them. I mean, Ezra, do you have any other thoughts or comments? I mean, you kind of.
I do want to take time to thank everybody that did reach out to Mayor Alio, and send him an email and supported me, and even the people that didn't support me. That's civic engagement right there, and that's what Olean needs, is people to pay attention to what's going on and stay involved and really pay attention to what's really going on with your city. It's important. So I want to thank everybody who did do that. So thank you guys.
Definitely.
definitely.
I think that you know, I think that it was, you know, it's definitely an awesome opportunity, and you know, definitely pulling for you, and you know,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
even if they say, hey, you know what, we're gonna put you in that seat. I mean, you still got to hold that seat, so you still got to make sure you're up and right for the people,
For sure.
and you know, we know you will be, and so definitely looking forward to that. Looking forward to
By the
supporting.
grace.
Looking
All by the
forward to
grace.
a long, solid
All by the
career,
grace.
you know, making things happen. So definitely appreciate that. He said, Ty says, I think this should be the new council. You're just missing a couple people.
Ty got jokes. Ty out here clouded. But no, Ezra, no, I just want to say, man, like, I appreciate what you're doing. You know, I appreciate you putting yourself out there. I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate you doing it for the people. I appreciate how you're approaching it. You know, I appreciate, you know, the fact that you're approaching it your way, the way you want it done, the way you want to do it, you know, for the right reasons at the right time. And, you know, like, you're not letting anybody tell you what agenda to push. You're pushing the agenda that you feel is important. And for that, like, I give you all the respect in the world, because that's not how it usually goes.
No.
For sure. For sure.
Thank
Dan
you,
says,
Dan. I
Ed's doing
appreciate
good
that.
things. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. Definitely. Definitely
Definitely.
appreciate that.
But you know what I'm gonna tell you behind
Me and
closed
Jan
doors.
have the same birthday.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we do.
That's cool.
But you know what I'm gonna tell you behind closed doors. You
What?
get that. You get that seat. You already know. Don't get in there and start acting funny.
That airport's good. I'm telling you. You can't. You can't.
Listen,
You
I'm
can't.
not
Listen. You
talking about
can't.
that.
You can't. You can't have a city that you want to run a city and not have an airport for businesses like that need to use that airport. There's
I didn't
just
say
no way.
anything about the airport, dog.
I knew what you were hinting at. I just want the airport to make money. That's my only thing about the airport.
Like, I
if
love the
you can
airport.
make
I
money
just
off
want
of
to
it,
make
yes.
money.
It's all about,
costing
like,
me
if they
money.
can make the city money, yes, do it. We need to find ways to make it money and bring businesses in here, and then it makes sense.
You know, it's rough. You know, the people that, you know, step in, you know, and become new aldermans and new mayors and you know, take over positions in the city. They always got to take care of whatever came before them, good, bad, or indifferent. They either get to keep running with the good, or figure out how to fix the bad, or figure out how to take the next step with the indifferent. So it's always a process, and it's definitely something that you know, should you know, when you get that seat, you know, you definitely have that experience of, all right, you know, we running with the good, we fixing the bad, you know, and get blamed for stuff that really you ain't got nothing to do with. But you got to figure out how to fix it. And if you can't fix somebody else's mistake, then hey, we ain't gonna like you.
We call that the cost to be the boss, right?
You know,
you gotta fix stuff. You gotta fix some stuff you weren't even a part of. That's just the cost to be the boss, man.
I think that a lot of things nowadays is what we're seeing right now is it's easier. It's more accessible than it was before. Like, you can just go on your phone and watch a council meeting live.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to actually go into the
right
to the courthouse there and go to the meetings in person. So it's
easier to be engaged.
It's easier, and more people can hold you accountable because they're seeing actually what's being done. It's not, and that's where I commended. That's one of the things that I think is good, where we're headed in the right direction. And with that kind of transparency, I just hope that we continue it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no reason for it to stop, personally.
Yeah.
You know, like, just because, like, even let's snap our fingers and everything with COVID goes away and everything's back to, we can all sit in the same room around the same table. There's still no reason that it still can't be accessible the way it is now. There's no reason it can't. Like, we've shown that it can be, you know what I mean? And so with that being said, there's no reason that we would have to. And I would raise the question that if we were changing it or stopping it and limiting the level of accessibility and accountability, my question would be why? Because clearly there's a problem with the level of accountability if you're not wanting to continue it. But
civic engagement should never be difficult.
Correct.
If people make it difficult, there's a reason why they're making it difficult.
Exactly. But we are going to, if Ezra, if you don't have anything else about your interview,
guys, I'm good.
You know, apparently.
Have any other questions? I'm good.
Yeah, I haven't really seen any questions. Nobody's really popped anything in there. You know, but if they do, as we keep going, we'll definitely address it.
So I can't eat meat today. So
No,
It's Friday.
good for you. That's what you chose to. No, not me.
Listen, I'm trying to eat everything in the house today.
I didn't go to the traditional route. So
So part 2, should we make these guys wait?
for part,
Be part 2.
Should we make these guys wait?
No, we gotta put part 2 out there. They can wait for part 3.
Hold on, let them show them in the comment stream. I want to see if they really want part 2.
do they want part 2? Do y'all want part 2?
Let's
Or is
ask
30 minutes
people.
enough? Are you guys done?
Let's ask the people.
Are you done for enough? It's about the people. The power is the people, so it should go to the people.
It's going to the people.
I don't know. Ty, it might be Ty's bedtime.
Jan says no.
Ty said, when do you find out?
Yeah, when do you
the
find
mayor
out?
says middle of next week. Middle of next week.
Middle of next week. Okay.
The common council meeting, I bet. Tuesday night.
All right. So part 2 tonight? Yes? No? Jan
Yeah.
says yes. We got 7 people watching, 1 person answering.
I got, then that
Well,
means
one of them is
everybody.
me.
That means
Oh, okay.
everybody, yeah.
So
But she does.
technically-
Yeah, she doesn't want to wait. She wants part 2 tonight.
All right.
Ty, you all engaged out there. You want part 2 tonight?
I told you he fell asleep.
He fell asleep.
Old age catching up. He says he wants to know it now. He said he wants it all. Jan said my vote counts.
Oh, you know what though? I wouldn't expect anything more from Side and said,
All right.
I want it all.
So part 2. We're gonna do part 2. So we've been in, Michelle says just say it. We're gonna do part 2. So the second thing is I've been talking about how for a little while we've been since I started the podcast, one of the goals is to kind of build up to a media hub, have multiple shows, multiple things that we're doing, and we've been moving in that direction. So we've got Reflections, we have House Call. Some of you guys know Steve Querns, the other gentleman that's on House Call with us, does every Tuesday he does like a Dungeons and Dragons gaming that they do and that they put up on YouTube. I'm trying to kind of incorporate that into a channel for us as well. But we are going to start having a show that's around local politics. You know, I mean, Ezra and his journey, you know, Danny and I are both on the, you know, Inclusion and Equity Committee in the city. We have, you know, one of the guests that I had on one of the podcasts, Mr. Tom Malone, he's, you know, active as well, you know, and so we are going to start having I don't know if we're going to do weekly or bi-weekly, but we're going to have a show that kind of centers around more around local politics. We may expand it a little further depending on topics, but we're going to center around local politics, kind of Ezra's journey as well, highlight that at certain points in time, but definitely moving in the direction of the media hub. And developing like our own channel, our own network channel, so to speak, streaming channel is kind of what we're working on.
Does anybody watching know when the county legislators' positions are up?
this year,
It's this year.
yeah, the mayors, they're the same time as the mayor. All of them. They don't stagger them either.
I think we should ask the crowd if Danny should do it. You guys think Danny should run?
Listen, what I'm telling you guys, when we get to part 3 of this banger next week.
Steve says he's here. He's like, what's good, y'all? Steve, we were just, I don't know how much you heard, but we just talked about, we're, you know, essentially dropping a new show, adding to the media hub, you know, in reference to local politics, primarily. And when we say local, I mean, yeah, we're going to talk about Olean, Cat County, but you know, we're going to dial it in on city politics, county politics, state politics, and that may vary based on guests that we have. We may have guests from other cities, other states, that we can kind of dial in and see the differences. Because when you get on a smaller scale or a more localized scale of politics, whether it be city, state, et cetera, county. It's different when you go state to state. They're city to city. Some things are very different how they handle things. Even inside of New York, there's some variations from place to place. And so we're going to be discussing those types of things as well.
Some grassroots.
Oh no,
So
you don't have to do it. You don't have to do another show, Steve. This isn't on you. This isn't on you.
We can't
So-
keep it to 30 minutes.
let's talk about it. We gave him part one.
Yeah,
That's Ezra's journey today. We gave him part two, which was we're going to start the local show, for the local politics. Man, what I'm telling the people out here watching now and are gonna watch this, if you guys don't tune in for part 3 of what is coming at you guys in the middle of the week, you are going to feel sorry that you missed it live, because we're going to hit you with some stuff that you don't even realize that's coming. And you've got to stay tuned for this, because it's good, it's big, and it's unknown.
Steve wants to know how the interview was. He showed up late.
It went really well, Steve. I enjoyed it. It was a good time.
Yeah, and the other show, like we're talking about doing the local politics and stuff, it might not even be us on the show. And when I talk about that kind of growth, and moving towards that media hub, it's not always going to be us on every show. That's the growth and direction that we're going in and looking at. And I'm definitely excited about it myself. It really is, like I said earlier when I put out the post, a game changer for me. It's something I've been praying about, thinking about, trying to build towards, and it's definitely moving in the right direction. So definitely excited about that. Hope you guys continue to show us the support. At first, it's all going to be all these different shows, all these different channels are going to be put up under like one hub on YouTube essentially, and transition to like a streaming channel that you could find on like Roku or something to that effect is what we're transitioning to, or going to be transitioning to. So really excited about that. Really thank you guys for all the support. Want to ask you guys to do us a favor to continue to like and share the posts and things on Facebook. If you haven't already, go to the YouTube channel that we have,
Absolutely.
Reflections with Dr. Gary Harvey, and subscribe to that.
Tell your friends.
What Ezra said, tell your friends. The other thing too, if you guys could really help us out, what helps us with the algorithm on Facebook especially, and even YouTube, is to like and share the videos, but comment on them as well. And if you can, on Facebook, if you've been blessed by any of the content, any of the foolishness that any of us guys or guests that we've had have went ahead and spouted out, go ahead and shout out a quick review or something on Facebook for us. It definitely helps with the algorithm, helps keep us in front of people, because we want to stay informed. One of the things that I was talking about earlier today, and even yesterday, is that it's easy to get caught up on something based on your personal feelings, beliefs, emotions, your personal agenda, your thoughts, etc. When you first hear something. But we really want to strive to be informed and not influenced. We really want to be able to stop and even check good intentions and make sure that we're informed as opposed to influenced. And so, that's really one of our goals, and being able to get different perspectives out there, and really, like the podcast is named Reflections, really be able to stare ourselves in the mirror, face that man in the mirror, so to speak, and really address the things that need to be changed in ourselves first and through other perspectives, so we can be able to help those around us. That's really a key thing for us. And so really appreciate it. And yeah, it's free to subscribe. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, like Ty said. Jan, appreciate the love and the support. The third announcement, replacing Rush Limbaugh on the radio. I'm not even going to talk about that.
I ain't going there. I ain't touching that. I looked at that. I wasn't touching that
at all. However, we appreciate all the love and support. Again, congratulations to Ezra. for taking that next step. I mean, the first step, getting your name out there. The second, get the interview for the potential appointment, and moving forward with that. So definitely appreciate that. And we're excited about, taking another step, another show, adding to the mix and building that media hub. And Steve said, rip. Yeah, pretty much. And, hey, if we can slide into radio next, we'll slide into radio next. We're all right with that. Definitely. I mean, the podcast is already on, multiple listening, platforms and in, multiple countries. So, maybe radio is the next thing we'll slide into. But
replacing Russ.
Later next week, I can't give you the exact date yet as far as when part 3 will be. I'm sorry. I apologize. I know I'm a terrible person. I'm just a chunky kid from New York. I'm sorry. But stay tuned. Wednesday night, the podcast. Thursday night, 7:30, house call. And at some point next week, we'll have part 3 of the updates of the announcements, and we'll throw something up. I'll try to throw something up as early as possible. To give you a heads up as well.
Part 3 is gonna be a banger. You do not want to miss that one live. I'm telling you, I do enough live shows. We do this, and we go back and forth a little bit, and I very rarely call things a banger. But part 3 is gonna be a game changer. It's gonna be a banger. Don't miss that. And before we wrap this up, and I'm gonna be done,
we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that. He said he knows somebody with a radio station. We gonna talk about that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that. But before we wrap this up, and I'm just gonna remind everybody, it's Friday, it's almost the weekend. Be safe, shop local, take care of your community, take care of your people. And if you don't know what's local in the city of Olean, shop at Reed, shop at Park and Shop. Eat local, eat at your local establishments. Hey, you can always stop by Go To Meals.
You can always send me some meal. You DoorDash me some food, have something delivered to your boy. Hey, it's cold outside. I don't want to go outside.
You can always stop by Go To Meals.
Yeah, you can hit Go To up. He got some fire.
How was that meatloaf yesterday?
Yeah, you didn't tell me. How was the meatloaf?
Yo, that Greek meatloaf was banging.
I haven't had that one yet. I got to get that one. But yeah, big shout out. Go To's been good, not just to the community, but to me, but also they've been a supporter of a local soup kitchen and food pantry here in the city. Consistently. We definitely appreciate that as well, especially during these times. So they're a local business that gives back to the community. So definitely, if you're able to support them, give them a shout.
And if you don't live in the city of Olean,
too, for giving Della $5,000 for the African American Culture Center too. That was awesome. It's pretty cool.
What happened?
The community bank donated $5,000 to Della in the African American.
Awesome. I didn't know that. That's fantastic.
That was in the paper.
But
even if you don't live in Olean, check out your local places, check out your local markets, check out your local superstores. Stores, and check out your local restaurants. Keep your money local. Them are the people who are going to take care of the community. That's all I got for tonight. Stay tuned. Number 3 going to be a banger.
All right, you guys, we appreciate your time and spending a little bit of your Friday night with us. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you so much. We'll catch you next time.
Bye, guys.
Right.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.